Marijuana has been a hot topic in the last few years, and many states have been debating on making marijuana legal. Marijuana goes by many names, such as weed, cannabis, pot, and hemp, but regardless of what name it is called, people have many differing opinions on it. Some states in the United States have legalized cannabis completely, others have only approved medical marijuana, and others have not allowed the drug at all. In the United States, it is a very controversial topic of whether the drug should be legal or not. I think that marijuana should be legalized because even at the recreational level, it is not bad. Many people even use medical marijuana to heal chronic pain or even just calm their nerves because they have severe anxiety. Even though many people today are hearing about marijuana problem, possibly for the first time, marijuana is not a new drug that we know nothing about. It has been around for many years, and people have traced the drug back to centuries ago. Although I think that marijuana should be legalized, CNBC and New Health Advisor say otherwise. They think that marijuana should not be legalized. Medical and recreational marijuana should be legalized because it is not as dangerous of a drug as people may think, and it can help people with things such as anxiety, and there are many states that have already legalized it. When did the legalization of marijuana become a problem? Marijuana is not a new drug that is being grown, and it is not new to us in the United States. Marijuana has been grown and traded for hundreds of years. According to drugabuse.com, over the Atlantic, the Aztecs, Incas, and Mayans were experimenting with peyote, cannabis, and mescaline to induce somatic visions. Close quote. Given that the Aztec era was around the 14th and 16th centuries and the Mayan era spans back to 250 BCE, marijuana is not new to us as humans. There is no exact start as to when marijuana became a problem in the United States, but it has been around for a while. It likely became a problem just because of the quantity that it was grown in. According to history.com, it's a fast-growing plant that's easy to cultivate and has many uses. Hemp was widely grown throughout colonial America and Spanish missions in the Southwest. Close quote. Since it grows very quickly, it is likely that it was accessible to many people, and then people became addicted to it because they liked the way it made them feel. Then, with everyone from the East Coast moving west into Mexican territory that the United States had won from the Mexican-American War, it made the perfect conditions for marijuana's popularity to take off and gain a following. CNBC thinks cannabis should be illegal everywhere because if the United States were to legalize marijuana, the number of marijuana users would increase. Today, there are 15.2 million current marijuana users in comparison to the 129 million alcohol users and 70.9 million tobacco users. Though the number of marijuana users might not quickly climb to the current numbers for alcohol and tobacco, if marijuana was legalized, the increase in users would be both large and rapid, with subsequent addiction. Close quote. New Health Advisor also agrees by saying that legalization may increase its abuse. Most widely used drugs in society are the legal ones. Close quote. Both sources say that marijuana is bad and could lead to things such as an increase in America's youth smoking it and stunting their development, and that it should not be legal because there's not enough medical evidence to warrant being used medically or recreationally. It is still an addictive drug that can be dangerous, and they don't want our youth getting a hold of the drug and smoking it. Both sources mutually agree that marijuana is a dangerous drug in general and should not be trusted to be fully legal because people will misuse it. Although CNBC and New Health Advisor agree that marijuana should be illegal, I say that it should be legal everywhere because you cannot overdose on marijuana. Therefore, it is less dangerous than other drugs like heroin and crack cocaine, which you can overdose on and potentially die from. Even though it is still an addictive substance, you could still die from problems related to it. You cannot overdose on it, which makes it safer than things such as heroin. New Health Advisor says there is clear evidence that smoking marijuana is harmful. The FDA, which has the right to approve all prescription medicines, stated on marijuana that there is currently sound evidence that smoked marijuana is harmful. Close quote. And there is just no or not enough medical support for using marijuana medically. Close quote. Although smoking marijuana may not be the best way to use it, there are other ways to use marijuana other than smoking it, which are safer and don't involve toxins potentially getting in your lungs. People could take marijuana in the form of a pill or an edible gummy, which is far less harmful than smoking a joint. When people think of marijuana, the stigma is a hippie in their basement smoking a joint with the rainbow tie-dye on. But in reality, it is just ordinary people like you and I that are doing the smoking. and people don't always use the smoking method when using marijuana. What CNBC and New Health Advisor are failing to realize is that smoking is not the only way that marijuana is used. Marijuana is a very flexible medicine in that sense that it can be used in many different forms. If people do feel that they are addicted, even though they are using it for a medical reason, there are different facilities today that will help with addiction. According to drugabuse.com, today thousands of drug abuse rehabilitation programs offer addicts a variety of treatment approaches, ranging from traditional evidence-based care to more experimental or holistic services. Close quote. There are many different resources that people can use and take advantage of if they feel they are struggling with addiction or are worried about addiction, since they have a family history of addiction to substances. There are also many ways to cope with addiction, as I mentioned before. There are many different methods, which means that trained rehab centers can help anyone who is addicted or worried about their casual smoking becoming a problem. The same goes for people who feel they are addicted to hemp pills or edibles. There is a world of help out there. People just need to go and get it. The help is not hidden, and people just need to seek it out if they want it. CNBC also states marijuana users would not be limited to adults if marijuana were legalized, just as regulations on alcohol and tobacco do not prevent use by youth. Close quote. New Health Advisor agrees with CNBC by saying it's because it can harm the young people who are the hope and future of humankind. Marijuana may affect the development of the brain if smoked at a young age. Close quote. Although things such as marijuana and tobacco can harm young children if smoked from a young age, that can be prevented. To buy marijuana, you would need an ID, and anyone who is buying marijuana for minors or giving it to minors to smoke would be punished, the same as if you were giving a minor cigarettes or alcohol. It would not be a free-for-all where everyone would be able to purchase marijuana no matter what age or health conditions. There would be certain warnings, precautions, age limits, and restrictions on who is allowed to purchase marijuana. It would be no different than restrictions with alcohol. You have to be at least 21 years old to buy, and there are warnings that say it can cause liver damage and could cause birth defects. Also, in order to get medical marijuana, you already need a certain medical card in order to obtain the medical marijuana. If recreational marijuana were to be legalized fully, there would have to be a card of some sort that says you are old enough and qualified to take marijuana recreationally. It would be no different than alcohol. Even though you do not need a card saying that you can buy alcohol or tobacco, you do need a present valid ID in order to verify your age so you can purchase the products. If you were to buy marijuana, it would be a similar concept to buying alcohol or liquor. As mentioned previously by CNBC and the New Health Organization, they both said that marijuana is bad for you, and there is not enough medical evidence to justify using medical marijuana for medical reasons. Well, according to healthmed.org, a study at the Scripps Research Institute discovered that the cannabinoid, THC, present in marijuana actually slows down the progression of Alzheimer's disease. Close quote. I don't know about you, but if a drug is shown and proven to prevent a disease that is progressive and depressive, isn't that a piece of medical evidence that would support medical marijuana's case for being legal in every state? Also from healthmed.org, they say, studies have shown that marijuana also helps control seizures from epilepsy in the body. In a 2013 study, marijuana was administered to epileptic rats, and the drugs stopped the seizures for over 10 hours, close quote. Marijuana has been shown to prevent and help many different diseases and disorders, and there is medical evidence that marijuana and the things that make up marijuana are a good way to potentially prevent these diseases from developing. So, there is medical evidence that marijuana can help with certain diseases. Why is that not enough medical evidence to justify legalizing the drug? It is a lot less harmful and a lot more helpful than we originally thought. Even though CNBC and the New Health Advisor, along with many other states in the United States, believe that marijuana should be illegal in all states, I believe that marijuana at the medical level and the recreational level should be legalized because it will help many people around the country. Medical marijuana will help people with chronic pain as an alternative to traditional medicine. Even though CNBC and New Health Advisor agree that cannabis will harm your health because you must smoke it, but there are other ways you can use medical marijuana besides smoking it. There's also the recreational side of marijuana for people who don't necessarily need it for medical purposes, but just need it to manage stress and anxieties in their lives. Marijuana is also like alcohol and tobacco in the sense that it is highly addictive, as mentioned earlier. But those two things have been in circulation for years, and tobacco was first thought to have great medical benefits. At least marijuana has some medical qualities and doesn't just pollute your lungs, since you don't necessarily have to smoke it. With that being said, there is no reason why marijuana should not be legalized in all 50 states.